Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Let's get ready to rumble! Seattle's got to make a stop. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to throw it back to Goff! Who had that on the bingo card? Touchdown Lions!
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Main Event. It's Main Event Mike, because it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Monday. From here until eternity, we will be doing this show talking about NFL football, specifically Detroit Lions football. And it is June the 23rd, and if you are joining me or even watching this on a rebroadcast, know that I appreciate you so much. It means you are one of my people. You are a diehard football fan. Some people might have a different definition of diehard. Diehard means even in the offseason, I'm still thinking about this team, still thinking about the Detroit Lions, still hopeful for a fruitful season coming up. I'm not going to say the S word, the Super Bowl. I'm not going to say it. We're not going to say it this year. It just rips your heart out that much more at the end of the year. So let's say hello to everyone, and let's thank everyone that is supporting us. We'd like to say thank you, and we are broadcasting live on the 360 Radio Network. You can go to 360radionetwork.com and listen to some great jams, make requests on the spot. You can hear local Michigan music if you happen to be in Michigan. You can even request my band. It's called The 99. Listen to my music. And we are also broadcasting live there, so a big thanks to the 360 Radio Network. Also broadcasting live on our own Facebook page. It's called The Main Event. It's got that little cartoon lion there, guy holding a football and a sweatsuit. I don't know. I guess I thought that was cool. Guess I was wrong. But anyways, if you're not following us, please go and follow our page. Appreciate you. And big thanks to Bill the Packer fan and Mike the Bear fan and Robert Bertana and all of them there at the Huddle Sports Network on Roku TV and Fire Stick TV. We are broadcasting live there as well. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about this team. The Detroit Lions. And also put your comments in. I want to hear from you. Please give us a like, give us a follow, hit that like button, hit an emoji of some sort. And let's dive into it. Let's see who we got in the comments first. Davey, good evening. Go Lions, one pride. What's up, Davey? Also, Dwayne Keene, our good friend Dwayne Keene. Good to see you in here, Dwayne. Good evening to all. Hope everyone had a great Father's Day, getting ready for a big 4th of July. If you're here in Michigan like me, it's hotter than 2 rats in a wool sock. Don't get a chance to say that one very often. Ken Ballreich in the house, the father of the man, the father, the papa. Welcome to the show, Ken. Just dropped in to hit the like and say hello. What a great thing that is. Appreciate you so much. All grit, never back down. I'm with you, Dwayne. Looks like we've got Ken the Bear fan somewhere in there. Hold on, I'm trying to. Oh, he's hijacked my page. I'm looking at it on my phone now. So anybody on my page who's watching Ken the Bear fan, I'm not sure why. Oh, that's a rebroadcast when he was doing Jeremy's show. That's why. Okay. Having a problem of anybody not seeing the comments. I'm not seeing the comments from other platforms. I'm only seeing them off the YouTube, from Jeremy's YouTube, which we appreciate, and from the Huddle Sports Network YouTube. I'm not seeing any Facebook comments week after week. So please don't think I'm ignoring you. I definitely go back afterwards and read everyone's comments and respond and react to them. So thanks a lot. All right, let's talk about this depth chart. I'm going to bring in my friend now. His name is Chad Datable. He's a researcher. And he's also a host of the NFC North Open Mic on Wednesdays on the Huddle Sports Network. Welcome, Chad, to the show. Welcome, Chad.
Thanks, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I'm so good. Thanks for asking. We are going to look at now the current depth chart for the Detroit Lions. Now, look, don't get upset with me here on June the 23rd, making any assumptions, making any bold statements. It's because This is what is reported by the team. This is not some cockamamie podcaster. This is not some rumor on the internet. This is what the team reports to ESPN. The current depth chart for the Detroit Lions. We are going to look at it, and we are going to take a look at, as if the season started right now, who the Detroit Lions are saying would be playing in the game. Now, it's fair to say that in 1 month and 1 week, the Detroit Lions will be playing a football game in Canton, Ohio for the Hall of Fame game, first preseason game of the year. So if that game were to start today, you're looking at the current depth chart. Is that moving, Chad?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we know the usual suspects. It'll be Jared Goff at quarterback and Hendon Hooker backing him up. Third string quarterback, Kyle Allen, a guy we picked up from Pittsburgh. What happened to Jake from State Farm? Any ideas on that, Chad? What happened to Jake?
I could look it up for you. I have no idea.
No, that's okay. I mean, I really liked the kid. He got a chance to get in the game, and he looked good. I really was rooting for him. So it's just kind of a bummer that
UFL candidate, right?
Huh?
UFL candidate, possibly.
Maybe. I don't know what happened to him. Go ahead and look him up, because I'll see if he signed or made it to another team. Because Kyle Allen, I don't know anything about. Jake Fromm, I do know something about. I know that he went to Georgia. I know that he won national championship. I know that he had the right size. I know that when he was in a game, he had some spark, and it was good. He had some juice. And I think the fans in Detroit were starting to be partial to him. Now he's gone. Obviously, the Lions like Kyle Allen better. At running back, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Last year, just for context, this depth chart had David Montgomery listed number 1. Jahmyr Gibbs entering this year, is RB1. And RB3, Craig Reynolds, RB4, Sion Baki. I don't foresee anything changing there. I think this running back room was already rated number 1 across the league in a lot of polls. Never lower than 3. And I think all 4 of these guys are perfectly suited for where they are on the depth chart. What do you think about that, Craig? Gibbs,
Sure.
Monty, Reynolds, and Vaki. How's that for your stable of backs?
I'm happy with it. I don't think anybody complained that was their backs.
Right. So now we move on to the wide receivers, and here's where it gets a little tricky. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the first wide receiver listed like a wide receiver 1. However, that's not what is considered the X receiver.
Nope.
That would be down here, the next couple columns, rows down, Tim Patrick. He is the X receiver. Amon-Ra here is the Z, so he's wide receiver 2, or excuse me, he's the Y. He is the slot. And Jamison Williams is the 2. So Khalif Raymond, you can tell because look who's backing him up. Khalif Raymond, a slot receiver. Tom Kennedy, a slot receiver. So all of those Amon-Ra haters that want to call him a slot wide receiver, well, this is where the Lions place him on the depth chart. So you have a little bit of ammunition, a leg to stand on in that argument. Khalif Raymond, a super solid number 2, also one of the best kick returners in the league. I loved how Tom Kennedy, you cannot kill Tom Kennedy. Tom the Cockroach Kennedy, broken back, still on the team. Everything. He's on the practice squad, cut, clears waivers, comes back, still on the team. You cannot get rid of Tom Kennedy. Interesting, behind Tom Kennedy, Jackson Meeks, who is the Darius Smith's nephew. And he's from Syracuse. He's a 6'3" wide receiver, had over 1,000 yards. And he's already listed as a slot corner 4th string. What do you think of this slot wide receiver position? Pretty stacked here for the Lions.
Yeah, and there's speed there. There's talent there. Amon's a slot, we know that, but Reynolds and, I like it. I think we can live with it.
For sure. Moving on to the next wide receiver position, Jamison Williams listed as the starter. Behind that, the new kid, Isaac TeSlaa. Now, if you didn't happen to catch the St. Brown podcast a couple of weeks ago when he was the guest, he corrected them on how to say his name. Gosh, it's been a month ago now, I guess, that it is TeSlaa. And ever since then, I have seen so many media people saying it correctly now, right? On draft day and the month after draft day, it was Tesla. Now everyone is pronouncing it correctly. Isaac TeSlaa, listed as the backup behind Jameson Williams already as a rookie.
Got that extra A at the end of his name,
Hey,
Can't have too many A's.
you can't have a Tesla in Ford Field, but you can have a TeSlaa.
Yep.
And his name is spelled with a capital T, little e, capital S. TeSlaa. And then behind him at third string is former University of Michigan wide receiver Ronnie Bell, which I've never seen yet to make the team, make the 53-man roster. So I'm not sure any names after this are subject to cut. Also, it should be noted that behind Tom Kennedy and Jackson Meeks, those positions aren't set in stone yet either, right?
No, but we have a relationship with Kennedy, so
Right.
So
Now, here's the interesting, and I don't know anything about Jacoby Keeney James, who is listed as the fourth string Z receiver. Looking at the X now, Tim Patrick, the big body type, out on the end. He was coming off the bench playing for the Lions, but he is penciled in as a starter now. He's that big body, that long frame that you want on the outside, and he knows how to win in those situations.
he does everything on the field you ask for.
And he's a great blocker, and he's sneaky good at running routes and getting open.
And he's a big guy, body.
Big target, good hands, and I think Jared Goff trusts him. And it's his turn. This is his chance, Tim Patrick, now, to play himself into a nice contract with another team next year, or maybe some sort of extension if he loves it here in Detroit. But with his checkered past in Denver with injury and all that potential and having crappy quarterback play out there for so long, this guy might be a real gem. And this is a big season for Tim Patrick. I like taking him in late rounds if he's available in fantasy. And I think he's going to have probably a career year this year for him, just by the sheer number of snaps that he's going to get as opposed to the other years in his career. You got any thoughts on Tim Patrick as the starter on day one?
I like it, dude. I like it. I could see him putting up 700 yards, maybe 6 to 8 touchdowns, because he's basically our number 3.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken from somebody else,
Right.
And with our running game, that takes from all the receivers. The yardage that we're going to put up, the touchdowns, we're going to have another tandem with 20-plus touchdowns with Monty and Gibbs. And they're gonna combine for over 2,000 all-purpose yards.
Wow.
We know.
I sure hope you're right. I sure hope the loss of Frank Ragnow and Ben Johnson isn't going to be as hard to overcome as I think it is. And you're right. Let's hope.
Can I answer Ken's question?
After I read it, are we really expecting Hutch to be right out of the gate as good as he was when he got injured, Chad Datema?
I was hesitant at first when I was seeing him rehab, but I'm watching him now on the fresh videos. He's lost that little hitch in his step, that every third step it looks like he limps, and he looks so much more physically dominant, upper body strength than he's been since he's been a Lion.
Yeah, and I think for my answer to the question, Ken, it would depend on your definition of what does right out of the gate mean. Do you mean game one? Maybe not. I mean, I could imagine if I broke my tibia and fibula clean and my leg was flopping around on the field, I think that first game, there might be a mental thing there where I've got to feel it and know it. But I think give 2 or 3 games in, and you're going to see Aiden Hutchinson not only return to form, but excel beyond that for him. He's going to pick up on the trajectory that he was on when he got injured. I mean, he was on pace for 20 sacks, folks. He was going to be Defensive Player of the Year. They were already talking about it. 5 weeks in, he was already the leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. So, yeah, I think he is, to an extent, Ken, he is going to pick up where he left off. I just don't know if it'll be game 1 or 2. It's going to take some time to get the sea legs under that new leg that he's got. But, practice reps and preseason games, it's just not going to be the same speed and the same thing, and he knows that. So I think once he gets past that, it's going to be all systems go. Anything else on that, Chad?
I thought he broke his leg in week 4.
I thought it was week 5 in Dallas.
It
It would have been week 4 because didn't we have the bye right after? No, it was week 6 and we had the bye in week 5.
Okay.
So it was after the bye.
So he played 4.5 games and still ended the season leading the Lions in sacks.
Correct. Bill T says, "Where's JB been? Haven't seen him in a couple weeks. I think he's on his own show, Bill. We're not filling in for JB. We have our own show on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks for joining us. Jeremy is always welcome to be on the show, though. We love him. Eric Whitson says, go Lions. One pride, baby. So back to this depth chart. Please put your comments in wherever you may be, whenever you may be watching this. You may be watching this on the replay. Then, we appreciate you as well. Looking at the comments over here on my homepage, we got Elise Beam says, hi, Mike. Great to see you as always. Go Lions. Go Lions, Elise. Darcy Maville, the real deal Maville. What up, though? What up, Chad? Darcy says hello. Darcy also says Colby Sorsdal might not make it. Manu, I want to see more. I think Colby Sorsdal is going to make it for sure. Because it's pretty soon here, we're going to be getting down to this offensive line depth, and this is where I have some concerns, Darcy, so I'm glad you brought that up. He also says that J-Mo coming in for 82 catches for 1,300 yards this season. That's a pretty bold prediction. And that's where we're at over on that side. So let's take a look. Again, we left off here at the X receiver. Behind Tim Patrick, we have the rookie from Georgia, 6th-round draft pick, Dominic Lovett. Is penciled in already as the number 2. So 2 rookies and Khalif Raymond. That's your second string right now. And then behind those guys, not a lot of depth. Malik Taylor, Ronnie Bell, Tom Kennedy. That's your third line of defense in the receiver room. And no 4th stringer listed for that X receiver. I like this starting. Tim Patrick, J-Mo, Amon-Ra, love Khalif Raymond. We'll have to see with these rookies, but I would like to see a more familiar name back in here, even like a vet anyway. I'd like to see another veteran in here in these backup roles. What do you think of that, Chad?
I totally agree. And there isn't there like a couple guys out there still? Who's out there?
Probably Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Well,
I don't know. Why don't you look at that for us? Check it out. Do a search, find out available wide receiver free agents. Maybe we can see if there's anyone that might fit here. I know Keenan Allen might be available. Ken says, sounds about right to me. What was really amazing was he led the league in sacks for 3 weeks after he was hurt. Yeah, even after he was out, he was still leading the league in sacks. Just shows you what kind of trajectory he was on.
I don't know how correct this is, Mike, but it's stating Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and Chris Godwin. Those are top 4.
No, none of them. I think only one of those is correct. Stephon Diggs signed with the Patriots. Chris Godwin signed with the Bucks. That's probably an outdated search you're doing there. Nicholas agrees with you, Darcy, and says Sorsdal does not make it. Well, doggone it, we're going to have to hurry up and get down to this offensive line. This seems to be the hot topic. We'll glaze over the tight ends here. We know Sam Laporta's top 5 in the league. He's penciled in as a starter. Brock Wright is a $4 million a year backup tight end, meaning he's top of the line backup tight end. And then behind him, Kenny Yeboah and Shane Zylstra. I think the Lions only keep 3 tight ends this year with John Morton coming in. The Lions did lose James Mitchell, which was a Brad Holmes draft pick, to this depth here. But I still like the depth. What do you think of the depth here at the tight end position, Chad?
I think we're lit. We're probably we're top 5 tight end core in the league, probably.
Yeah, I can think of 2 or 3 I know that are as good or better, but I can't think of 5 that are better.
I do have your wide receiver answer.
All right, let's hear it.
Both Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and Tyler Boyd.
All right, so I did nail one of the 3. Keenan Allen, Tyler Boyd, who's always been a 3 receiver, so I can't imagine he's demanding a lot of money. Tyler Boyd to the Lions as a backup depth piece. I'm sure he doesn't want to come in and play backup. None of those guys do. We're looking for a backup guy.
Well,
somebody
a lot
that's
can happen in the preseason and in OTA. Well, OTAs are done, but in training camp, and
that's a great point. That's a great point. A lot of these names aren't going to be here. Training camp starts July 26th. We're still a month away from training camp, so this is way premature. But it is interesting to see the way the Lions see themselves by the way they report their depth chart to the major sports outlet, the most major sports outlet in the world. Fullback, only one person on the team, Zach Horton. I don't think the Lions will have a fullback. I think if they do, it'll be like they were doing last year. They were trying to give Rodrigo snaps there. They might give another position player snaps there at fullback.
Vaki.
A defense player, maybe even Sion Vaki. I don't know if he's big enough for that role, but yeah. Moving on to left tackle, Taylor Decker is a fixture at left tackle. He's getting a little long in the tooth, but he's still at least above average left tackle. Doesn't make a lot of penalties. Behind him is the swing tackle, Dan Skipper, who can play on both sides.
And
behind him, go ahead.
And tight end.
And they might let Dan Skipper play fullback.
That dude, he's a beast. He's huge.
He's damn near 7 feet tall. Okay. Giovanni Manu, who you have to take an Uber to get around that guy. He's 6'8", 360. He's an enormous man. These are your backup tackles, though, to Taylor Decker. Dan Skipper, Giovanni Manu. Behind that, Jamarco Jones, not familiar with him at all. Left guard, penciled in as the starter right now, Christian Mahogany. He has passed Colby Sorsdahl. He is the starting left guard if the game were tomorrow. Behind him, Natani Muti, who I'm not familiar with at all either. So I don't like that depth there. Christian Mahogany would be a first-year starter and a 6th-round draft pick. How confident does that make you feel?
Well, he got experience last year.
Okay. But we're talking about one of the best O-lines in football. It certainly isn't that anymore without Ragnow and now Mahogany at guard. No Zeitler.
Gone. No.
So it's definitely a reason for concern. And then a nobody that I've never heard of behind him in the second string, no one at third, no one at fourth string. At center, Graham Glasgow is penciled in as the starter right now. However, there's been a lot of smoke about Tate Ratledge becoming the new center and Graham Glasgow playing left guard and Christian Mahogany would play right guard. But if the season started today, this is the starters that the Lions would run out there. They would run out Graham Glasgow at center because Ratledge just doesn't have enough reps. And they would put Ratledge at the starting right guard, which is his natural position that he played throughout college and was a total beast. And then Christian Mahogany would play left guard. And, of course, all-world, all-pro Penei Sewell on the right tackle. So both of the tackle spots look good. It's question marks in the middle. We know what we're getting with Graham Glasgow. He can play all 3 positions on the interior. I have some concerns. I want to say I am not real happy with this starting five. I wish we had another name in there.
Well, you left out Tristan Colin.
He is listed as the second stringer behind Tate Ratledge.
Okay.
And he only played in 7 games last year? He was on the bench as well. So he's not a frontline starter, known commodity in this league.
But center experience.
But also can play center. So
we know
the Lions do like flexibility like that. We have no third string left guard. And Kingsley Egwakun is listed as the third string center. He can also play center. In Dan Campbell's press conference last week, Dan Campbell did point directly to Kingsley as a name that the Lions might lean on at center, that he might emerge from training camp as the starter, that he has just as good a shot as anyone else. So that was, I thought, very interesting comments about that player. But right now, they have him listed as the third string center. Third string right guard, Coyote Awasika. Campbell has a lot of confidence in this guy. And so that he's comfortable right there at third string right guard. And then a player I don't know, third string right tackle, Mason Miller. And then the rookie from LSU, Miles Frazier, comes in as a fourth string right guard on the depth chart. That is the offense in its entirety. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us something. Go Pack, go all day.
Well,
says, will Hutchinson be the same guy after major injury? Also says, Manu is 7 feet tall and you can't teach that. You can't coach speed and you can't teach height. You know all about that, don't you, Chad? Chad, in case you guys don't know, is 6'9" tall. Chad Danley is.
Okay.
Oh,
let's
6'8", my bad. 6'8". I met him in person. I could not believe you were 6'8", but you are definitely 6'8". Pretty crazy.
Mason Miller played 2 positions, guard and tackle. He came from North Dakota State in a town, but he fit.
Oh, boy. Can't get rid of that music. Are you dancing, Chad?
You know what?
It's like that thing Jeremy does. It's not as good, though. Not as good at all. All right, I'm just going to have to, there we go.
This is Jess.
Well,
She needs her money to work as hard as she does. That's
oh, I accidentally clicked on Miles Frazier. It's all my fault, folks.
Mason Miller, I mean, hey, maybe. You never know.
Mason Miller, third string right tackle. All right, that was your offense. Now we're looking at the defense. They are reporting a 4-3 base defense. Starting on the edge, Aiden Hutchinson, we expect to be full. Second string left defensive edge is Josh Paschal, the second-round pick from Kentucky. A great run player, great edge setter, but not getting much in the way of pass rush from that. Third string, Mitchell Agude. Dan Campbell likes this player. He's played good when he's been in there. We had a lot of injuries on the defense last year, and Mitchell Agude played very well. The Lions beat up all over the defensive unit and still won more wins than any year in franchise history. And Mitchell Agude was a part of that. I'm very comfortable with him being third stringer. And then Nate Lynn, fourth stringer. And I mean, a lot of people might not know about Nate Lynn, but Nate Lynn was an undrafted free agent last year. And he was tearing it up in camp, tearing it up in the preseason. It was looking like this guy was going to make the team, the long shot. And he was wowing everyone, and then he got hurt in the preseason game, and we never saw him again. Well, he's back, and they are giving him another chance. And they feel so good about him, they've listed him as the fourth left defensive end on the depth chart on June 23rd of 2025. A lot of promise, a lot of upside with this player. Maybe a name to keep an eye on as we progress. We skip down to the other end, defensive end, the right defensive end, Marcus Davenport, also known as Davenpoop, also known as Mr. Glass. Never had a season where he didn't end up on the injured reserve list. 7 seasons in the NFL, never had a season where he didn't end up on injured reserve. However, when he does play, he's uber productive. He was a 12th overall selection in the draft, had one good year for New Orleans where he played 14 games, and he had 9.5 sacks. He averages 1 sack every 2 games. So if he can stay healthy, I like this. But behind him, not a lot of depth. Al-Quadin Muhammad as the second string defensive end, played good last year, just like Agude. But not a known commodity, not a household name, not a guy you feel a 9 out of 10 as your backup defensive end. Behind him, Ahmad Hassanin, who's a 6th-round draft pick from Boise State. Boy, if you could judge a player on energy and enthusiasm, this guy'd be the number 1 pick.
He said he'll die for Dan Campbell.
Yeah, this guy. And he's already leapfrogged Isaac Ukwu, who played pretty good last year in relief, as the 3rd stringer at right defensive end. So I don't hate this. I know everybody says how bad we need edge rushers, but from what I've seen so far, we need offensive linemen worse than we need defensive line or edge. And which is why we saw Brad Holmes take 2 offensive linemen and 1 defensive end. Because that's where, even though I know we don't draft for need, Brad. Yeah, I know. You say that. We don't draft for need. But we had a depleted secondary and you draft 2 cornerbacks. Didn't draft for need. We have glaring holes on the offensive line and we draft 2 offensive linemen, but we didn't draft for need. I call BS on that.
I know, like they didn't know Decker was considering retirement for the last couple of years too.
Or Ragnow.
Ragnow.
I bet they knew more about Frank Ragnow than they ever let on, Chad.
Yep.
I'd be willing to bet the farm on that. So moving down now to the left defensive tackle, Alim McNeill. We know he won't be available until November. November. So
just signed a big contract last year too.
But he is penciled in as maybe this is just a sign of respect to Alim McNeill by listing him here as the starter. We know he's not going to start the season at the left defensive tackle. But behind him is listed Levi Onwuzurike, who they did just give some more money to. He did not play enough or good enough to go out and get market value on a defensive tackle. He had to settle for a lesser contract, and he chose to stay here with the Detroit Lions with it. This is a big year for Levi Onwuzurike, this year and next year, because he could play himself into some big money if he has a good year and he's completely healed from that back injury.
And we've seen some big plays from him when he's healthy.
Yeah, at the end of the year, he was starting to really come on. Also, DJ Reader listed as the right defensive tackle. We know this will be the last year we have DJ Reader. It was 2 years. We're not going to be able to afford him. He'll go out and get a contract at market value somewhere else because he's good, because he is a run stuffer. You don't see his name in the box score, but you can't quantify what he brings. He's a force multiplier. He frees up. He's the reason Jack Campbell had a career year last year. He doesn't get credit for it, but he unlocked Jack Campbell, giving him lanes to penetrate through, giving him lines of sight to the quarterback and the ball carrier, because he's eating up defenders. You can't really, he's one of the best in the league at what he does. And we're going to be blessed to have him for 1 more year. And then right behind him is DJ Reader 2.0, only with better hands, the improved version, better technique, much more athletic, much more nimble. Tyleek Williams, the number 1 draft pick from that university in Columbus.
Yeah, we won't mention the university.
That's correct. We do not on this show. We try not to. Third string, Roy Lopez. Free agent signing come over from Arizona. They love him. They're excited about this player. And that's probably because they paid him peanuts. And they know that they're going to get, above the value of what they're paying to get him in here as a third string defensive tackle. Behind that, look who it is, Broderick Martin at fourth string. This just highlights that Broderick Martin was a miss in the draft. And Brad Holmes moved up to get him. Go ahead, Chad.
Such high expectations for Broderick Martin, too.
Especially because Brad moved up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
He gave up draft capital to get a guy like this. And we knew he was a project of sorts. Great measurables, long arms, big motor. Got hurt year 1, but was not able to play himself onto the field last year even. When our whole defense was beat to crap, he was suited up on the sidelines, not getting in the game. We were pulling dishwashers and drywallers off the street to play defensive line. And Broderick Martin could not get on the field. And now coming up to the 2025 season, where he should be ahead of these people in his development, we see him penciled in as 4th at right defensive tackle. I think that is a testament to, or that highlights the fact that Broderick Martin was a miss, and he probably will not make this team this year. Also, Miles Adams and Isaac Ukwu, Miles Adams and Broderick Martin, the 4th string tackles. Moving into the linebacker core now. Let's take a look at if anybody got anything in the comments. Ricky says, main event, Mike. It's MANE, man. Nicholas says, Mike, you're so right about all this, man. So right. Thank you, Nicholas. Welcome to the show, Ricky. Go blue, baby. You're watching the Main Event Football Show. I'm your host, Main Event Mike. Follow me on all social media at Main Event Mike. Be sure to hit up our page, The Main Event, and follow it. We started from scratch, started from the bottom. Now we're here. So we really appreciate it. If you're watching this show on the rebroadcast, put your comment in anyway. We love to keep the conversations going, and we appreciate all viewers.
And hit the like button.
You heard the man. He's 6'8". He's going to stand on a chair and say, hey, I see you. Looking at the linebackers. The weak side linebacker or the will linebacker. Alex Anzalone in the middle of a contract negotiation right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of a question mark there, or an asterisk, at the starting will. Behind him listed as Malcolm Rodriguez. We know Malcolm Rodriguez not coming back until at least November. So what's behind that? Trevor Nowaski, a guy who's played, a guy that we trust, a guy that we like this guy. He's a little undersized, but he's scrappy, he's gritty. He's from Saginaw Valley, right up the road from where I'm at right now. Trevor Nowaski, your 3rd string weak side linebacker. And behind him, Deron Gilbert, with his very famous cousin.
Gilbert the
Deron
Grape?
Gilbert. Huh?
His cousin Gilbert the Grape?
No. I can't remember which one it is, but he's got a famous cousin, Gilbert also.
Melissa Gilbert?
Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh,
I don't know why I have Chad on the show. All right. Moving to the middle linebacker, Jack Campbell, all-pro season loading. He keeps improving year after year. He's going to be a Lion for life, hopefully, but he's going to demand a big contract after this season. He's man in the middle. What's that?
Doesn't he have 2 this season and next season still? under contract, right?
Yeah, but they'll start negotiating next year for his contract, I'm sure. Behind him is the newest Lion, Grant Stewart, who came over as a free agent signing from the Indianapolis Colts. Dan Campbell, super, super high on this guy. They say he is a special teams ace. And Dan Campbell said, don't sleep on this guy playing linebacker. He can play linebacker. So he's kind of Jalen Reeves-Maybin, a younger version. Behind him, Zach Cunningham. So not a lot of depth here. Strong side linebacker, or the Sam, Derek Barnes with a new contract, all healed up from the injury, was looking really good before the injury, looking like a steal of a player. He is a Detroit Lion. He plays with that grit. The fans love him. The coaches love him. Players love him. Behind him, Ezekiel Turner, who played well last season. And behind him, Anthony Pittman, a veteran who's been in this system for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Has a great rapport with his coach, Kelvin Shepard, who used to be the linebackers coach, the defensive coordinator now. So he's very familiar there. They like him as a third string linebacker. I know I do. So I like our linebacker depth here. It's fine with me, especially when Malcolm Rodriguez comes back. I think these are adequate backup players. I think our depth is looking okay here. And this is a spot where a lot of Lions detractors point to the linebackers and say that this core is no good. What do you think of these linebackers, Chad?
I think if they're healthy, we are solid. We can't afford to lose two of them, though.
That's true. Moving on to the secondary, this is another place where I think we have some issues. At the left corner, we have Terrion Arnold, 6 foot tall.
Okay.
He's our CB1. Behind him, Khalil Dorsey. Even after he had that terrible injury last year at the end of the season, he's still listed as the backup to Terrion Arnold. How comfortable does that make you feel if TA were to go down and your starting corner out there is now Khalil Dorsey?
I need an antacid.
He's a great third stringer. He's a great fourth stringer. He's a great special teams player. I'm not super comfortable with him being so close to the starting lineup.
Agreed.
Behind him, Stanley Thomas Oliver III. Not sure. Stanley Thomas Oliver III.
I don't think I ever heard of him.
Behind him, Devad Wilson. I don't even know who those guys are. So not a lot of names, household names there. At the other corner, you've got DJ Reed and no one.
DJ Reed. Stay healthy.
No one. You hear me, Chad? There's no names there. So that's your corners. Now you look at the nickels. You look at the nickel backs. You've got not the crappy band from Canada, but the slot, the guys that cover the slot receivers, the nickel back.
Mm-hmm.
Ennis Rakestraw Jr., who is penciled in as a starter. So this season we'd be starting a rookie there essentially because he's never started a game. Amik Robertson is listed as his backup, which might be a little disrespectful, but he is coming off a pretty bad injury in the last game against Washington. And you have to remember that Amik Robertson can also play either corner position. So he could be listed as depth here. But Amik Robertson is listed by the team as the number 2 nickel back. That's where his place in this defense is on paper. Behind him's new addition, Avonte Maddox, who by all accounts is a value here at third string nickel, that he would play above that if he were to have to get on the field, by all accounts. So we're looking good there. When we move to the safeties, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, 2 of the best. Put them together, they are the best duo of safeties in the league. Baltimore might have a claim to that within a year or two if Malachi Starks turns out to be anything like Kyle Hamilton, who's already there. But for now, widely considered the best safety duo in the league, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. Behind that, Maurice Norris and the rookie from Georgia, Dan Jackson. 6th round pick, I believe. 7th round pick. Not a lot of depth there. Behind there, Lawrence Strickland. He's got some games under his belt, but always a third stringer. Always a special teams player. And then Eric Hallett. Not a lot of NFL snaps. Ian Kennelly. Not names you know. Not guys that make you feel fuzzy thinking we got a nice deep room here. And no names behind DJ Reed. We just don't have enough names here, folks. DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold, and after that, who do you have? Khalil Dorsey, Amik Robertson, that's your backups. We need better than that. If you want to win it all, they're going to need to add some people here in the secondary, whether that be through free agent or trade.
Well, Mike, what you have to understand is those names you listed in our secondary, probably 6 of them won't even be on the team. Okay. I think there's 6 of them I haven't heard of. I don't even know who their names are.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just, we're probably going to poach a couple practice squads to upgrade that talent there.
Right. And that's a great point. Training camp's not even here yet. This is going to change. But right now, those are the names that we have. So we can see by doing this exercise where there needs to be an improvement. So Steve with a great comment here. Rock Ya-Sin supposedly is under contract with this team. However, he is not listed on this depth chart. He did not make the cut of 53 that they need to report. So it's a great call out, though, Steve.
Is this report official, though, really? I mean, this early?
This is what the team reports to ESPN. Yeah, they have to report before training camp. Yeah, who the projected starters are right now for media purposes. So Rock Ya-Sin, not on this list. But we do know that he's going to be in, and there's going to be a lot more to Chad's point. There's going to be a lot more as well. All right. Let's stop screen. That's it. Looking at the depth chart today. Thanks for everybody who endured that. 74 days until the NFL season officially starts. And we are barreling towards the start of the NFL season. Detroit Lions will be playing July 31st in the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, against the San Diego Chargers, against Jim Harbaugh. So we're going to see Detroit Lions wearing pads and playing football in a little over a month. That's a pretty exciting proposition. But this team, after what happened last year, number 1 seed losing in the first round, and the year before being 30 minutes away from the Super Bowl with a 17-point lead. Mm-hmm. When you tear a team down to the studs the way Brad Holmes did this team, there's an expectation that in a certain year, you're going to be better. And we have reached that year in 2025. A couple of years ago, we were 9-8 to finish the season and missed the playoffs. And everybody said, oh, Brad Holmes is way ahead of schedule with this rebuild in Detroit. And the following year, it proved to be right because we went 12-5 and we're 30 minutes away from the Super Bowl. The following year, even better, 15-2, but didn't get it done. So now the window, while still open, you are no longer ahead of schedule. Now the pressure gets on. And now you compound that with the schedule that you have to play now because you are one of the top teams and you had that success. Now the bill comes due. You hit on all these draft picks, but now the bill comes due. You've got to pay them. And you can't keep everyone, is what they say. You can't keep everyone. And maybe you can't, but maybe you can. There was a report by a reporter named Love for Lions Wire that came out yesterday. And it was a report detailing how the Nielsen ratings have been overhauled. And now, if you don't know, the Nielsen ratings are an independent firm that have been around since the 50s. And they gauge audience participation in shows. So if a new TV show comes on broadcast television back in the 70s, they would have Nielsen homes that have a little tracker that keeps track of what the average household was watching. And it was very crude, but it gave you a glimpse of what people were watching. Well, Nielsen has overhauled its capabilities and its technology. And they have changed how viewer audiences are measured. This was approved in 2025 by the Federal Communications Commission, that they will now use more advanced technology, and it will be a lot more accurate. The what is called viewership capture did not account for 150 people sitting in a sports bar watching the game. It only counted for that one person who pays the bill at the sports bar for watching the game. Now they have more advanced technology, more advanced reporting techniques that are going to allow them to get a more accurate number of who is actually watching the game, how many people are actually watching the game. There's also been major improvements to tracking live streams. Before, it's been kind of crude and guesswork on approximately how many views and this, but now they have made improvements to that as well, and those improvements have been approved. So we're going to see more accurate reporting moving forward. Then in 2028, the TV rights deal will be renegotiated with the league. And when it does, all of this new information is going to blow them out of the water. They are not going to believe how many people are actually watching this product. The NFL worldwide is expected to report over 1/3 more than currently reported during the same time span. So they're predicting 1/3 more of what they say are watching just by these new reporting techniques. So we would have seen that number be 1/3 higher last year had these measures been put in place. But now that they are, when the new contract comes due in 2028, when the leagues looks at viewership capture and they see how many people are actually watching this game, they are going to renegotiate this contract, which is going to cause the salary cap to boom. So we have the foresight. We can see it here in front of us that it's going to be. And Brad Holmes and the shrewd GMs, they know that they can backload these contracts. Maybe you can keep them all. Maybe you can keep Sam Laporta and Jameson Williams and Jack Campbell and sign Aiden Hutchinson and then sign Brian Branch, because you're kicking the can down the road and there's going to be so much money at the end of that rainbow in 2028 that it's going to at least make it manageable. We are seeing the age of the one-year contract. Over 1,500 one-year contracts across the league last year. A record. We are in the one-year contract, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The salary cap itself is the reason for that. The salary cap is eliminating the middle class of contracts in the NFL. If you are getting a max contract, let's take the Cincinnati Bengals, for example. They're giving a max contract to Jamar Chase. He's the highest paid wide receiver in the league. You have to then give a max contract to Jamar Chase, arguably the best wide receiver in the league, best quarterback in the league. Joe Burrow, one of, arguably. So you got to give him top money too. Now you've paid T. Higgins. So you've got all these big contracts, and they're going to have to pay Trey Hendrickson or lose him or just play him or let him sit out or whatever. But they've got too much money out. They're just not going to be able to do it. But if you can set up a deal where you can backload that contract because of what we can see coming down the road from this new little piece of news that was at the bottom of every news page yesterday that seemed insignificant is going to have a huge impact on the NFL, because viewership capture is going to be more accurately reported by Nielsen. And this is the gospel. This is what everyone goes by. And the NFL is going to be able to say, look at that number. We want a bigger piece of the pie on revenue sharing. And under the NFL's model, all teams split that pie evenly. Doesn't matter if you're in a big market. Doesn't matter if you have Jerry Jones as an owner. Doesn't matter. Green Bay gets the same amount as New York or LA. And that's why there will be no such thing as an NFL franchise that loses money in the foreseeable future anyway. I love this call by Steve Bauer. Says, I'd love to pick up Matthew Judon for the linebacker crew, but he's a 3-4 linebacker, so he's a pass rusher. Doesn't fit our scheme, but then again, we don't really know what scheme Kelvin Shepherd is going to run. But I do love the player. One thing about Matthew Judon, he was a lion killer. Anytime we played him, he just destroyed us. Even if his team didn't win, he had a great game. I remember the year we were 3-13 and they beat us 29-0 in New England. Judon was a beast in that game. But now he's what? With the Falcons? That didn't work last year. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But it's about time to go right now. Those were my closing thoughts. Chad, thanks for being on the show. Do you think this viewership capture thing is going to have a lasting imprint on the league?
Well, absolutely. They're going to make so much more money now when they go to their advertising and say, hey, wait. You're paying because you thought there was going to be this many viewers, when in reality, what's 30%? So at 1,300,000 more, yeah, it's going to affect the league a lot. It's going to affect the salary cap, and
right.
Then
your point is well taken, but those numbers are way off because we'd be talking millions and tens of millions,
right?
Maybe even hundreds. There'll be a difference of millions of people watching than what you're paying for. Essentially, you're paying for a reach of so many people, but you're actually getting this many people. We want more money, and it's pretty easy to see that this league is going to get it because all eyes are on the NFL, even in the off season.
I know a couple bar owners, and they pay by TV, but it isn't one subscription. It's per TV that they pay.
That's a great point, but still, right. So instead of 150, there's 6 or 8 that's being counted there instead of 150. And then you multiply that times every sports bar in the country. And we're definitely talking about millions.
Maybe.
And it's very hard in the advertising world to quantify what's called an impression. So if you're driving down the road and you look at a billboard, you don't get off on the next exit and go buy that product, but it made an impression on you. And that's another thing that is part of negotiations, is how many potential impressions are they making as well. So 7:58, time to get out of here. Time to roll on. Any parting shots before we go?
Great show.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. And to all of you that are watching, just know we appreciate you. Please give us a like, a follow. Big thanks to the Huddle Sports Network on Roku TV and Kneecap Biting with Jeremy B for letting us broadcast on their platforms. Also, the 360 Radio Network. Go to 360radionetwork.com and give them a follow and give them a listen and listen to some good rock and roll. For all of us here, which is me, God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Yeah, yo, it's game time. Ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports. Just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken. Stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From a
I don't know why it won't let me end the stream without playing that outro video in its entirety. Here we go. End stream. Now we're out. See you later.